I'm going to go ahead and start off with my book called Who's Out There. It's kind of a psychological thriller more than a horror. But this is from chapter 1, Homecoming. Today, Rachel looked up at the darkening sky. It was going to open up at any moment. An extra fuck you from God at her mother's funeral. She hadn't been back to this town in so long, and now the weather was telling her that she wasn't even welcome. As if the angry stares of the other funeral goers weren't enough, now the weather itself was warding her off. After living on the street for so long, Rachel saw the rain as a bad omen. Even when the day was hot, being soaked through left you shivering. Finding shelter to escape the storm when you didn't have so much as a car to your name wasn't easy. It was just another thing for her to stress over on a day that already sucked. But at least I'm here, Ma. I made it. Too little too late, huh? I hope you don't hate me. Rachel sighed. What kind of sad, depressing funeral would it be without a storm, though, right? Life was about atmosphere. The rain helped to create the appropriate vibe for her mom's final day. Fuck my life. The black clouds felt all too symbolic as they hung over her head. Rachel's heart was heavy. Losing her home, her car, and herself paled in comparison to the loss that brought her back to this place. Home. I suppose it was where the heart was, but now the heart died, and home died with it. Now it's just another shitty place full of shitty people. She looked around at the scowls and sideways glances and thought, yeah, I'm talking to you. Rachel couldn't believe her mother was gone, really gone forever. The weight of that concept alone was enough to crush her. Her nervous fingers smoothed her black lacy dress. It wasn't about the dress. It was already wrinkled. It was about her nerves and anxiety. She didn't want to be here. But her not being here was already her biggest regret. Of course, the one person I need to tell that to, I can't. If you can hear me, Ma, I'm genuinely sorry. I hope you know that. Can you forgive me? As the first drops of rain reached her, Rachel looked around at other people in attendance. They were just more proof that she should have come back here more often, or maybe proof that she shouldn't have come back now. She wasn't sure which. Deep down, Rachel knew it wasn't her fault that she hadn't been here in so long. She literally couldn't come. She didn't have the means. Not many homeless people that she knew of were taking vacations. Hey, Millie, keep an eye on the tent for me. I'm going to run home and visit Mom for a few days. You know what the weather's going to be like? I want to pack appropriately. Yeah, right. Maybe next month we can go to fucking Disney World. Rachel's true regret was that her mother didn't know her situation or understand why her daughter didn't keep in touch or come see her. For her to know, Rachel would have had to tell her how badly she screwed up and failed at life, and she couldn't bear to do that. Sorry, Ma. I'm actually a fuck-up. The good things you heard were lies, an illusion. I thought it was better for you to believe some bullshit than to know your little girl actually turned out bad. Several times Rachel tried to reach out to tell her mother the truth, and several times she lost her nerve. In her mind now, staring at her mother's casket, she thought of the times she stood in a business holding the phone they unhappily allowed her to use with disgusted faces, their hands already reaching for the bleach or sanitizer. Her own filthy fingers were shaking over the buttons, hovering there and moving in the proper pattern to call home. Then she hung up before pressing a single one of them. The employees' disgust turned to anger when she put her dirt and grime on their phones and didn't even call anyone. The way they saw it, she just came into their establishment and spread her germs for no reason. She was poison. They had no idea what she dealt with or who she once was before Adam. Letting her mother down and hurting her inadvertently or not was just another check on Rachel's list of personal failures. The guilt hit her like a punch in the chest, taking her breath away. She exhaled like she'd actually been hit. The pastor screaming passionately in the background. I wonder what he thinks of me. Highly, I'm sure. Most kids probably help set up their parents' funerals, take on the costs, make the arrangements. I barely even made it here once all that was already done. Probably wouldn't do any good to plead my case either. I don't need to hear how disappointed God is in me as well. The majority of the people standing around the shiny, ornate mahogany box that was all that was left of her mother were strangers to her. It felt wrong to not know the people that cared about her mother, to have no idea who bought the beautiful box she was laid to rest in or the flowers that surrounded it. Those things cost thousands. Rachel had been gone so long, living in the coffin of her own trauma, that her mother had built a whole new life Rachel knew little about. She could still remember the feeling of leaving to make a life of her own, the excitement and fear, the thrill of it all, and just the same, she remembered the feeling of losing the life she worked so hard to build, watching it all crumble and fall away like a mountain avalanche. Behind her eyes, she saw Adam's face, and her mouth filled with a sickeningly sour taste. You son of a bitch. Rachel spit into the wet dirt at her feet. Before long, she would be standing in mud. Nothing I'm not used to, so why does it feel so terrible in this circumstance? Is this mud any different than the mud I've slept in? Maybe it's that Mom will actually see me wading in it this time. That's the real problem, isn't it? I can't lie anymore. She can see everything now. Are you looking down? Rachel looked around at the crowd of strangers. These people cared about her mother or they wouldn't be here. Maybe they would have cared about her as well had she been around. Maybe they could have been resources to her when things went bad. People to help her get back on her feet, which she still had yet to do. At least I'm not using anymore. Guess I'll never know what these people could have been to me, will I? They certainly don't like me now. Can I blame them? I probably shouldn't, but I will because it's easier than blaming myself. I only came with one little bag, but there's so much to unpack here, Ma. Perhaps that if she had told her mother the truth and visited more, she would have been hugging these people and sharing a mutual comfort with them as opposed to standing alone waiting for the rain to pour down and ruin her hair. The first time in 2 years she actually did anything with it. None of them even offered her condolences or held her hand. They didn't pat her back or say they were sorry for her loss. Maybe they felt like the loss wasn't hers anymore. All they had for her was a collection of angry stares. Thank you. Thank you all, truly. I appreciate it. That's my mother and all. Rachel had spent time on her hair and makeup today. She had to. She owed her mother that much. It stressed her to tears because she felt like a lost cause and couldn't get anything to look right. She hadn't even worried about such things in forever. She was more concerned with where to sleep, how to acquire food, if she was being honest with herself, how to secure her next fix. Yeah, that's who I am, Ma. Who I've been. Who Adam made me. And Bernard kept me. Today was different, though. Rachel needed to look presentable for her mom, homeless or not. It was about respect. I tried, Ma. I really did try for you. I hope you know that. You probably can't tell by looking at me, but I worked really hard to achieve this only slightly disheveled look. Fuck. It took everything Rachel had to get here for this, for what felt like the worst day of her life. Do you know, Ma? Do you know what I went through to be here? If you do, then you know how much I love you, and you're equally repulsed and ashamed of me for it. It's okay. I feel the same way, but what was I supposed to do, not come? Should I have let you down one last time? I did enough of that for a lifetime. The crowd full of stink eyes cast my way is proof enough of that. The thought of what she had to do to make it back to this town for these services sickened Rachel's stomach. Her gut twisted in knots and left her nauseous. As the visions of Bernard's crooked smile entered her mind, she pushed it back out. She couldn't let herself go there, not now. She just couldn't. It would do her in. Not here, not now. I can't. I can deal with the scars that monster left me with later. The streets are full of predators, Ma, wolves in human clothing, and sometimes those monsters are the only allies you have. Survival isn't always pretty, I'm sorry. So I'll leave it there for now.